Hey everyone, welcome to the Trendcrusher podcast. I'm Peter K. On this episode, I've got Nico from the mighty Katatonia. They've got a new album out, Nightmares, as an extension of The Waking State, on Napalm Records. It released last week. I managed to get a slot to speak to Nico about the album, the creative process, and the response they've received so far. Before we get to that chat, I'd like to play a track by a band that is part of the Peaceful Trio, Doom Trio as they call them, Paradise Lost. They've announced their new album Ascension, which is going to be out in September via Nuclear Blast Records. The band need no introduction. Here's the track, Silence Like the Grave. And that was Paradise Lost with Silence Like the Grave of their upcoming album Ascension. Do check it out. I'm going to leave link in the show notes with pre-order details. And now here's my chat with Nico from Katatonia. Hi Nico, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. How you doing?
Good, good. I mean, it's great to speak to you, and we're speaking at the right time also because and it's not even a recent change that you joined Katatonia, but Katatonia's new album Nightmares as extension of the waking state is out now on Napalm Records, and it's the band's 13th album. How does it feel now that the album's finally out?
Good, man. I'm kind of overwhelmed by the positive response. I was expecting to get I wasn't expecting, but you never know. I mean, I'm replacing an original member, and I know I'm like that always sucks when you're like when if you've been a fan of the band for a long time, and so I didn't really know what to expect. I was just basically expecting the worst and hoping for the best, which is a very good rule of thumb in life generally. So I'm really happy that people seems to be digging it, and I'm really happy with the outcome of the album. I think it sounds fantastic, and it's really um, it's not easy listening. It's like it takes a bit from the listener, and I think that's super cool in this day and age where everything is like pre-tuned for you. So yeah, totally. I'm at the moment super happy. I'm sure that'll change.
Yeah, I mean,
No, it's
I'm
right.
going to
Sorry.
reserve my thoughts on the album for now because I want to like weave it into the question. But yeah, totally. I get where you're coming from because I think like the initial album announcement also came with, the lineup change and things like that.
Right.
But you're no stranger to the band. I mean, you've been part of the band, performing live with them for some time now. How was it kind of making that transition from just being a live member to, being part of the band, working on this album? And let's add context, right? Like Catatonia have been around for 3 decades. They're one of the bands that I think were titled also the Peaceful Doom kind of bands back in the day, right?
Right.
So with all of that weighing in, how did it feel kind of being part of the writing process of the album?
It was daunting, but also, I mean, it's kind of like when we played live. When first played live, we got on really well together. So I was like, man, I could play in this band full time. And then once that was a fact, I basically said to myself, like, man, there's nothing you can do about anything except do your best, and not don't try to like basically calming myself to like don't think, just do what you do, and they seem to like it. So if it ain't broken, don't fix it. And then, but also I found out, like me and Jonas, we have really we're really like twin souls when it comes to music taste. It's all over the place, but we kind of like always when he has a good song to suggest, or me, we kind of like get it. So that felt really like reassuring, and like just also like it's as you said, it's been going on for 3 decades, and they've been doing just fine without me. So I'm like also I was really, and still am really making sure that I don't barge in. I just I want to learn the ropes, so to speak. And if it's very easy to get excited and be like too excited, and then it's just annoying. So I think it's since I said to myself, like, just do what you do and be cool with it, and then hopefully down the line it's going to be like better. And I think that's been a winning recipe. That it's a really particular style of music that, even though Catatonia has gone through a bunch of, there's always this thread that like I don't want to fuck that up. Sorry for swearing, but it's like yeah, just stay calm and contribute when you can, but don't be too vocal about it. And I think that's proven to, like, I mean, we the album was of course it was like any album, it's a lot of work and a lot of debating back and forth, but I think we it's a very, very good first start as far as like collaboration and exchanging ideas and concepts, whatever. So yeah, it's I'm super positive at the moment. Again, I'm sure that'll change.
But okay, I mean, and at this point, I'm going to read a quote because it really struck out for me when I was reading the press release. And this is actually a quote by Jonas, where he says that Nightmares is a riff-based and guitar-heavy album. And he goes on to saying that when I was writing it, I knew there were going to be a couple of new guitar players coming. So maybe consciously, I felt I had to come up with some cool riffs so that they still want to join the band. End quote.
Right.
And I
No,
thought, go ahead.
he managed that really well, because I was as I'm amazed by how, I mean, he is a decent guitar player, but he's not like I am playing the guitar constantly. And he came up with stuff. It's like, how in the hell did you? I mean, this is like really not maybe so hard to play, but it's really hard to get wrap your head around it. And I pride myself in, like, I know a lot of I mean, I like a lot of music styles, and I think I'm kind of like uh, fairly quick at getting it. But in this, he proved me wrong. So that makes sense that he was. That's kind of reassuring that at least he made an effort to make it hard. No, but
But
it's not hard, but it's just such a, he has such a unique way of looking at things, looking at music. I mean, has unique ways of looking at pretty much everything. But with music, it's really like, and it's really cool. I mean, I don't want to mess with that. I mean, I want to contribute, and I think we had a really cool collaboration, like in the finer details. But uh, no, he's a unicorn, like a one of a kind. So my biggest ambition or uh, way of going with it was just like, don't, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
okay, fair enough. And I kind of get where you're coming from. But what I was also curious to know is when you got like the early tracks that Jonas worked on, what was your initial reaction? Because I'm sure you were familiar with Katatonia prior to this also, and their sound and the kind of evolution that they've gone over the last couple of decades.
I was happily surprised and amazed that it was such uh, not direct. It was really the arrangements and the way the songs. It's like you never get what you expect, so to speak. So it was really challenging. I was like, oh man, this is going to be hard. But that's really nice when you feel like that. Like, man, am I really going to be able to pull this off? You know, I like that kind of challenge. And then for a day or two, you're like, man, call somebody else. But then once you get it under your fingers, it's kind of like, yeah, maybe, you know. And then um, once you like know the songs, how to play them without completely stopping and thinking, you could really find really cool ways of embellishing it. So no, I was puzzled in a very in the most pleasurable way.
Cool. So I think at this point, we've talked quite a bit, and we haven't even scratched the surface when it comes to the album. But I definitely want to know if you had someone who, and let's contextualize it, right? Like someone who's never heard of Catatonia before, and is listening to this podcast. What song of Nightmares as extensions of the waking state would you like to play for them, and why?
Oh, that's really tough. I mean, it's because it's really all over the place in a really cool way. But I would either go with the first track, which is very intense, Thrice, or the last track in the event of, because that's a really I love that song. It's such a I would say that's in my ears, in my mind, that's like a more typical. If somebody's never heard Katatonia, I think in the event of kind of like gives a fair picture of what the band sounds like. And also, I'm super stoked. I mean, the guitar solo that I'm really happy with how that came out. It's really raw and weird, and I had no idea how it just came to me when we were recording. So it was one of those, holy cow, maybe I can improvise, you know. But I mean, that's the guitar player in me, I suppose. So, but those two songs is what I'm thinking of, like straight off. And that first one, Thrice, is a bit more intense. It's got some really cool riffs. That's a tough one, but I'll give you those two, and then you get to choose. Yeah.
Awesome.
Find you asleep, dusk on your eyelids. I break into your dream with hands made of glass. I hold back the tears when I feel what's on your mind. Memories of your years, stars not yet aligned. The scene, the static halo around your voice. I'm the revenant in your dream, but I will pull away. Turn to stalemate, 'cause I'm the provider. You're the drug in my bloodstream. Nightmares shut out behind the curtain for now. Running through a field of even grass, and I hold back the tears when I feel what's on your mind. Hopes left behind.
And that was Thrice of Katatonia's latest album, Nightmares as an Extension of the Waking State. And I've got guitarist Nico with me. Now, while you kind of talked about, something that is very unique to Katatonia, and I think as someone who's been listening to them for quite some time now, I realized that no matter what the overall sound is, there is that, melancholic feeling that it kind of ends up
Right.
leaving with you. And I think, like, for me personally, I remember listening to Tonight's Decision, and this was, I think, when I was just getting into metal, and there's something about that album
Right.
that just leaves like a very bleak, dark feeling. And while over the last decade, I feel like Catatonia has changed its sound. Uh, to me, honestly, Nightmares is where I was like, whoa, there's something again, and it's very hard to kind of put your finger on it. Uh,
Right.
Tell me about that. I mean, like, again, one of the things, and I'd love to have talked to Jonas about this, is just the way he kind of crafts, the entire story around it, right? And
Right.
how does it kind of work for all of you, and how did it work for this album at least, where, does it kind of, do you all kind of collaborate, and then finally he adds in that lyrical bit, which I feel to me is something, as someone who's into lyrics, right? How do you kind of go about that?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, he's an excellent wordsmith, and he has his universe. Then and it all makes complete sense in his brain, and it pretty much makes no sense. But we all like, not all of us, but at least I do. I really like it when I think early on it was like we're just gonna, because he has like kind of like vague ideas about how the vocals is gonna go, but it's kind of like it's just in his mind, and I think that's really cool. And I particularly feel like I do not want to mess with this. I can come with like suggestions and like, or rather encouragements of like, oh holy crap, that's a really good one. Do that again, or something like that. But he's also like me, not a fan of repeating stuff. So it's but basically it's all a musical, like music discussion. The vocals is kind of his beast all, and I think he has it in his head, but it's not written down. And then when that process starts for real, um, he's better left alone. I think now that's like my first impression. And then when it's kind of done, you go in, and then you can talk about like embellishments in whatever direction. But I think I know what you mean with that melancholic kind of vibe. That it's kind of like it could pop up regardless of the sound of the band, if you know what I mean. If the band could play on super heavy or super Pink Floydish, but then all of a sudden he just puts that his own kind of darkness to it, and then it becomes really like melancholic. Is I guess the best word for it. So yeah, I'm like trying to. I mean, I have been. It's the good thing for me is that I've been producing and engineering a lot of bands, so I kind of know the role of supporting and when you should just shut up and when you should say something. And I think that it works really well here. That I'm. You have to restrain yourself when you hear something, and just make sure that your idea, whatever your comment is, within what we're trying to achieve here. So that's a really nice place to be. I have to say that I feel like I'm the shittiest player in the room, and I love that. It's a really nice feeling to like always be the best you can be, and only say smart stuff, and not come barging in with some stupid lyric idea or something that's like not. I mean, I know for myself also, when you when you have something going, it's really easy to what's the word? Distract somebody from whatever path they're on. So if I really don't know the path and I'm like kind of or I got my own version of it, then it's usually better to just shut up and see where it's going. And I think it's been working out. I have a really good feeling that we could that our collaboration in the future is going to be fruitful. So yeah, I'm stoked.
Okay, and another thing I was definitely curious about is, and this I've not noticed in the last few albums, so correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a song in Swedish, which is,
Right,
for the English translation is After the Sun. I'm not going to
right,
attempt saying it in Swedish, but it's
right.
actually, I read, named after or inspired by a short story collection by a Danish author named Jonas Ika. Uh, could you shed some light and tell us a bit about that and what kind of inspired that?
I mean, I know the writer, and I gotta say that it's, and again, it's that's so cool. It's like I can't really, I wouldn't have made that connection unless he said that. So I think it's to me the lyric and that song is just a super melancholic Swedish song about well, I mean, I'm not going to go into what it's about because it's just there's not like a topic. It's more like the way he uses words, which of course, if you can't speak Swedish, makes no sense. And it's going to be really interesting to see the translation because I think you kind of can't translate that. It's got that Swedish like or Scandinavian melancholic vibe that we are famous for up here because all the dark and so and the whole After the Sun, basically that's 9 months of the year here. It's like we all know about basically there's no sun for most part of the year. So it's got that really kind of a longing vibe that it's really, really nice. But as far as how that connects to the Danish writer, you'll have to ask him, but I don't think he can give you a straight answer neither, or he doesn't want to, because I think also it's like whatever, it's in the eye of the beholder. If you can't speak Swedish, then pretty much you have to get the translation. And as we all know with translations, it's kind of like something gets lost. Sometimes stuff gets added too, so it could go both ways. But I would say most of the time you kind of lose the general, like the actual meaning of it. But I don't know. So it's a tough one, but I'm definitely going to pass that over to him. And again, I don't think he's going to give a straight answer neither. And also, I think that's cool that, I mean, I love music when you don't understand anything. And you can kind of tell by the sounds, the vowels or whatever that, you get an emotion from it. And then whether that's right or wrong, that's irrelevant because as long as you get and like you feel something, that's the whole point of it, So I think that's why I thought it was a cool thing to put a song in Swedish on the album, because it makes no sense really, and it's for a really small crowd. But I think Katatonia fans are open to that kind of weirdness,
So yeah, I actually wanted to mention this earlier, but one of the things when I keep talking about the melancholy part, as someone who listens to like a lot of extreme metal, this is one of the traits I found very common between, and you said Scandinavia, but also you see it a lot in Finnish bands, and
Oh yeah.
that's something that I found like very interesting. But of course, like you said, 9 months of no sun totally makes sense why the music is like that. Uh, Also, the second thing I wanted to add is what's interesting for me, and personally, I was reflecting when you were saying this, is while, I may not know Swedish, but I can kind of get that feeling and resonate with what the song is about. I cannot do that with other Indian languages that I don't speak. So, like a very popular genre here in India is uh, Punjabi hip hop and rap,
Right.
but I just don't get it. And like the reason I can't connect with it is just because for me it's lyrics. But sometimes,
Right.
you don't really need to know the lyrics, right? So it's a little bit strange for me that
Yeah,
way.
no, interesting. And yeah, but I kind of know what you mean. It's like even though you don't know what they're saying, you can kind of figure out what they're at least not saying. And then it's like, well, at least this is not about fast cars and making money. And then so, okay, already I'm in. Uh, and then also the sound of it, it kind of suggests that this is not about, partying or. So I think at the end of the day, if you like the sound of the music, and then it's very rare, I think, at least for me, that you like, if you love everything about what's coming out of the speakers, and then you start listening to what they're saying, and then you find it like, hold on, this is horrible. The lyrics destroy the song. I think usually if you like the sound of the song, you will also like or at least accept the lyrics. Sometimes they're fantastic. Like to me, I mean, in country music, I think it's like, they melodic. It's very, very traditional, but when they get it, when the lyrics are fantastic, it kind of like Bob Dylan, he's not. That's a great example of when the lyrics take the song to like an absolute insane height. If I would just hear, if I would hear Bob Dylan in Swedish singing about fast cars and a lot of money, I would just go like, man, this guy can't sing, but he really can sing. And then on top with those insane lyrics, it becomes amazing. So yeah, it's a fascinating difference in how you listen to stuff when you know what they're saying and then when you have no clue. I mean, I have a problem with Swedish rappers basically, but if I hear French rappers or Danish rappers, I love it because then I just hear the rhythmic, and I have no clue if this is a political song or if it's again about fast cars. But I just love the sound of like, especially French hit rap is like amazing. It's got such a flow. And I get the sense just like you that these lyrics are pretty good, even though I haven't got a clue. But I get the feeling that it's not about, fast cars and whatever, like something shallow. Has some profound meaning. So it's fascinating how you hear things differently when it's in another language.
Okay, since we're talking about, music that we listen to, uh, I'd love to know and kind of get a glimpse into your, I don't know, streaming platform that you use, or if you have a record player and you listen on vinyl, what are you currently listening to?
Oh Christ, I'm not a vinyl fan. I sold off all of that. I'm trying to. Somebody said that you shouldn't let your things own you, and that made me go, holy shit. So I don't have a record player. I have a vinyl player, but I very rarely use it. I'm streaming 99%, and I am a huge soundtrack fan. So currently I'm all over Gustavo Santaolalla's soundtrack for Last of Us. Is amazing. Anything with Hans Zimmer, I love. Ennio Morricone. Um, there's a bunch of new cats, Jed Kurtz. Oh, there's so many. Thomas Newman. But basically, it's. I mean, Carnival. If you want to go metal, is something that comes to mind. Nothing But Thieves are amazing. But then also a bunch of country, man. Billy Strings is like my new hero. I love Mike Doss, the guitar player. He's just incredible. So basically, it's all over the place. And then, of course, there's your classic Bark at the Moon here and there, and Pink Floyd constantly comes back. Um, Jimi Hendrix, Bob Marley, all the good stuff. But I mean, Bob Dylan. There's so I don't I rarely That's the beauty I think with like streaming platforms that you could just um you could find what mood am I in today, and then you start off with something and say no, 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 that's not cool. And then usually if you find something like, let's say I feel like listening to country, then if you use that thing right, you could get really a lot of new suggestions. So people say that your music listening, it gets streamlined. But I think if you kind of work the algorithm, you can find really cool stuff that you would never have otherwise. So now it's all over the place. But I would say I think the coolest thing about listening to soundtracks is like there's no verse, chorus, verse. There's like the arrangements are all over the place, and that's really liberating uh, when you work with music, especially like rock music and pop music, which is pretty much, verse chorus, so it's 95% is in 4/4. So I find it's really nice to listen to music that is just whatever.
So I totally understand where you're coming from when it comes to soundtracks. I mean, like uh, Hans
Right.
Zimmer has been touring recently around the world, and
Yeah,
I
man.
think the kind of stuff that he's done is just like totally iconic.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's so many. I mean, like I don't know if you play video games, but I think for a lot of
Oh,
people,
yeah.
like who got into like metal. In the 90s, video games were also something, the soundtrack to that and the music to that. So yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I think
No, I'm a huge fan. And there's so many, that's like even another dimension of soundtracks, because that's like if I mean the soundtrack for a movie, it's just the same. You got the same track to a scene, but in a video game, depending on where you go in the game, it's the music changes. And yeah, no, I love it. It's so cool with that kind of atmospheric, the kind of thing when the music supports the picture. It's such a cool world to explore. So and also I mean, speaking of Hans Zimmer and with his live thing, Guthrie Govan, what he does,
oh my
and I
God.
mean that it's just like, I mean, somebody please stop him. Let the rest of us get a chance, man. It's just like the out of this world guitar playing, and he's improvising. Yes, I think there's a solo on like Man of Steel. There's like 4 or 5 versions on YouTube, and they're all completely different, and they're all 100% impossible to play. And no, he is truly one of our generation's best
Yeah.
guitar players
So
by far.
we can definitely, I think, riff on this more. But before I go on, I have to say, like, I saw Guthrie Govan play his solo music live a few years ago. And then a few months ago, I saw him with Aristocrats. And
Right.
there's just something insane when I was watching Aristocrats. Actually, I watched Aristocrats a second time, but watching them in a smaller environment, uh, I
Oh,
just had
man.
to turn around to my friend and say, "Hey, I'm in the same room as the guy who was in Necrophagist. Like, what the hell?" And he's playing this kind of stuff. Like he did, like Marco Miniman did like a 10-minute drum solo. So it's like all of them. And Guthrie Govan, I
Right.
think I don't think I can say enough about him. But
No, I know. It's just like no boundaries. No, absolutely. He's got to be from another planet. That's my only explanation.
yeah,
That they just dropped him off here from Mars or something.
cool. But quickly to wrap up, I mean, like, where you're at least a couple of weeks away from the festival run, right? Because it's
Right.
summer in Europe. So to mix things up, what's quickly one thing that you're looking forward to and one thing you're definitely not looking forward to?
When it comes to festivals, it's the fact that you get to meet a shitload of colleagues, friends, and fellow players, and you also get to check out when they're playing. So when you're on tour with your band, and it's usually like, a bill with 2, 3 bands, and after 10, 15 nights, it's kind of like the whole deal, how it's going to go. And I mean that's cool too, but festivals are definitely something else. I really like the fact that it's really energizing and inspiring. But what I don't look forward to, obviously, is the flying in and out. Basically what it is like you come festival season and you're like, playing here and there, it's not too bad. But then at the end of the festival season, you're like, man, please don't put me on a plane again. Just put me in a tour bus so I can sleep, because usually sleep is the times when, flights and whatever, it's all over the place. So definitely the traveling back and forth with festivals is the biggest bummer.
Okay. And other than that, I mean, what's next for Katatonia?
After festival season, we're going on a tour in Europe, like a really long one, I don't know, about 5-6 weeks. And then we're going to the States, is the word around the campfire at the moment. Nothing's set in stone, but that's probably what's going to happen. And then I think probably when we're in the States, we'll do South America or something. So, and I don't want to think further than that. That's like, so basically it's going to be starting this fall, it's going to be super busy. But we've had like a long break now, with the album recording and everything. So at least now everybody's super psyched and really energized. If you come back in December and ask me the same question, I'm just going to be, please just leave me alone. Let me go home and watch a movie,
Awesome. But
that's how it should be,
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, of course. I mean, like, you have the ebbs and flows, right? That's what it needs to be. So
yeah, totally.
But awesome. Full power to Katatonia. Really looking forward to more updates from you guys. And I wish you guys all the best.
Thank you very much. Absolute pleasure.
Final words for everyone. Final words for everyone listening to this podcast.
Oh man, what can I say? I know that, as I said in the beginning, I know the deal when like you lose your original favorite members of the band, but please don't kill the messenger. Give me some time. I'm gonna try to do my best to not replace, but rather take it to another, hopefully also cool place with the band. So bear with us. I have a good vibe, and I'm pretty sure that if we get to meet, you'll get a good vibe too. So hang in there.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a nice one. Cheers, man.
And that was Nico from Katatonia. Do check out their album Nightmares as an extension of The Waking State. As always, link in the show notes to their merch as well as CDs, digital, all that good stuff. Got a couple of episodes with Indian bands that performed in Mumbai recently. This is episodes that were recorded in person, so it was a lot of fun. To find out when they're out, hit subscribe or follow on the platform that you're listening to this episode on. Otherwise, follow me on social media. Just search Trendcrusher on any of the social media platforms. That's all for me. I'll see you all very soon. Cheers.